So that's basically machine learning modeling to do more
Yes,
predictions.
yes.
Okay. Now, you talked earlier also about how Finnair has been on this journey to being a data driven company. And in order to do that, you have to have obviously a lot of technology, you have to have a lot of data, but you also have to almost recondition the people or create a culture to support the goal. What is Finnair doing to do that, to create a culture, and what's your role in that?
That's a very good point, and I think that bringing in the new technology is even the easiest part, but then the really changing the behavior and building the new skills needed, that's that's the key for successful data-driven companies. So first of all, I have to say that within Finnair, there are a lot of enthusiastic people, a lot of colleagues who are willing and eager to learn and are interested in understanding the data and being able to use it in their own role. So I think that's a great starting point. It starts from the motivation of the people. We have already established some knowledge sharing type of events to really build up the knowledge across teams, because there are teams who have more skilled analysts or people who are working with data, and then teams that don't have those skills yet but are eager and willing to learn. So we have, for example, bi-monthly analytics afternoons where we have always one external keynote for inspiration outside the company, and then few colleagues are always sharing their ideas or what they have developed to really show and make it transparent within the company that what's already done and what can be done, and who could be the colleagues to turn to when individuals might have questions or want to learn something. But obviously that's just one way of doing it, making the internal skills and experts visible. And then at the moment we are working together with our aides, and we have been defining our strategic competencies, and the work will continue now to really build also a plan of actions that are needed to build and strengthen these strategic competencies. And obviously there are various possibilities to do that. There is the very traditional training, but then there is also opportunity to build those skills through job rotation or
Hmm.
adding new requirements when we are hiring new people. And then obviously also empowering and nurturing these type of communities and peer support groups where people can learn from each other.
So I just want to be clear or make sure I understand. So you're talking about like marketing people, operations people, flight crews, even
Mhm.
executives, basically learning the importance of data and also learning how to get their hands on it or get the help they need to get their hands on it. Correct?
Yes, yes,
Good.
that's true.
It's interesting. Finnair has seems to have a lot of long-term goals. Like, for instance, I've seen that you have this goal of being carbon neutral
Mhm.
by 2045, and also that it wants to cut in half its net emissions by 2025 from,
Mhm.
I guess, the 2019 level. So these are very ambitious goals and very admirable. Is data analytics playing an important role in achieving those goals?
Yes, definitely. First of all, I want to say that I'm also very excited about our new sustainability strategy, and I really like that it's very ambitious and excited to be part of that work. Definitely, data analytics is playing a very important role in that. It can obviously bring the tools for better visibility so that we can, for example, build more accurate plans. For example, in order to reduce the emissions, it is very important that we can really make flight plans that we can then operate, and there's no need to either speed up for catching the time, nor that there is additional waiting time before the plane can land. So obviously, when flying very directly to the destination without additional waiting or additional speeding up, then that will reduce the emissions quite significantly. So the accurate flight plans are very important.
Mm.
And obviously data can help with those. And then the other thing that data can provide us is then to also be able to measure and show the progress when we are moving forward with our ambition. We can actually show to our stakeholders that we are really achieving and progressing with our plans.
Now, when you talked about the flight plan and kind of optimizing it, you have to do that in collaboration with air traffic control and things like that, right? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of data sharing involved in that. Is that something that you're doing? And how do you do the sharing of data?
Yeah, data sharing, and especially with the on the European single European Sky program, it's obviously very important topic for us. We share and we use data. There are also legislations and some governed things on sharing the data, but there's also a lot of opportunities to do that even better to really build solid plans.
Is the kind of the cloud data platform, is that helping out with that sharing now, or is that something that might happen in the future?
Well, at the moment on that area, we are not sharing data from the cloud data platform, but obviously there are other areas that we have been testing the sharing of data with other partners. And obviously that is a very valid opportunity to also use that form for the future.
Can you talk about one of those kind of explorations?
Yes, so obviously airline industry is very much connected, and we exchange data on daily basis with various partners. We do have some airlines that we have more closer collaboration in form of joint businesses where we basically serve the same customer. And on that area, we are currently running a proof of concept where we are testing if sharing that data through the cloud data platform instead of exchanging messages would be more efficient and faster, and in general more efficient. So there are a couple of airlines that we have now a joint proof of concept on that area.
So you're sharing information real time so that you can sync up better and give the customer just a much better end-to-end experience. Is that what you're looking at?
Well, that particular proof of concept is more on exchanging the data on daily level. So it's not real time yet, but obviously it could be done on almost real time as well, yeah, if that's successful.
Could you just dig a little deeper? What kind of data is being shared, and what's the result of it?
Well, the proof of concept is focusing on our joint business. So there are certain data that we have agreed with the other airlines that will be shared related to the flights and customer information related to that joint business.
Now, we're in the middle of a global crisis, a health crisis, economic crisis, a crisis of society, and Finnair obviously has been impacted tremendously, cutting more than 90% of its flights. Are you doing anything special with data analytics during this crisis period, either to respond to what's happening right now or to kind of prepare for a recovery?
Well, obviously our focus is mostly on the recovery phase. So we need to obviously follow closely when the travel restrictions start to be released again, and then really to analyze how fast and which routes should we start operating again, and what are the expectations, or what is the demand in general, how will it start to increase again. Obviously the challenge is that the same prediction models that we normally use, for example, predict the demand or passenger volumes, they won't work in this kind of situation because there is no reference data for this type of situation. But still, the good thing is that we have been building this data platform and we already have a good visibility to several data assets and can combine them. And I think that's where the benefit comes from, to be able to really use very rich data, so combining data from various sources and really to analyze it and understand the correlations and the end-to-end process, and then that will help us to identify that where will the demand start increasing again, and where to put the operational efforts then.
So you're not able to use machine learning. You're not able to depend on it as much as during normal times. What are the new data sources or data analytics tools that you're using to try to predict?
Well, I would say in general, it's of course the ability to actually combine the data. So we have a lot of, or we have had in history, a lot of individual data sources, but we haven't been able to really combine, for example, data from market research or competitor data and then maybe some other sources. And now we have the tools, we have the data lake, we have the data platform, and we have skilled people in the organization to actually work with the data. And it's not anymore, the blocker is not anymore the performance of a database or ability to access the data. So it's more about the ability to really read and analyze and find the insights and find the correlations from that data.
Lastly, I just wanted to ask you a question that's about the future. If you look ahead a couple of years, we're either going to return to normal or a new normal. And it's hard to predict, what it'll be. But can you look ahead the next 5 or 10 years and see what role you think data will play?
Yeah, I would think, and I would like to believe, that data will have a significant role what comes to generating value for customers, and through that obviously for businesses, and that it will really achieve the status of asset. And I think that there's already progress there. For example, now that the legislation has changed around privacy lately in many countries and areas, and individuals, like as consumers, are coming more aware of the data they create and the data that they give to businesses to gain better services or other value in return. And obviously then the companies, the businesses also, when they are able to use the data, then they can also build their business value, their services. So it's kind of a exchange type of asset in the same way that money is or has been previously. So I think that's definitely something that will change.
So it's almost like a quid pro quo between the customer and the business.
Yes.
Sounds more like a leveler playing field, with the customer having more control and demanding more control.
Yes, exactly. And then also it gives the businesses the opportunity to really build their business further if they are able to really provide additional value and show that they are trustworthy and ethical and transparent. They will get more data, because obviously the customers, the consumers are willing to give the data when they know that that is in a secure place, and they will get some additional better service, better value for it.
So trust is going to be an important part of the relationship. Interesting. Well, this has been a delightful conversation. You really do have a wonderful strategic view, and I think you've explained things very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have a background in media, but
yes.
you've certainly taken to the airline industry pretty quickly, haven't you?
I have, and I have to say it has been, these 2.5 years have been really full of learnings. But in general, in this data and analytics domain, it's not really that different from the media or from airline, or I would assume also for any other business either. So there are still these same very general principles that apply everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good insight. Well, Minna, thank you for your time today, and thanks for sharing your story. It's really been fascinating.
Thank you, Steve. It's been a really pleasure.
That does it for this episode of Rise of the Data Cloud. Thank you for listening. This episode is brought to you by Snowflake. To see how you can get secure and easy access to any data with near infinite scalability, visit snowflake.com.